because it is a Disney production, um, and because I think you mentioned that, you know, it should have done better, maybe, but maybe they did make a sequel, but, Disney was always into the direct to DVD sequels. So is
You're
there a Chicken
right.
Little 2 direct to DVD?
My God, you could be exactly right. And they did so poorly that they went right to the vault, right right to the Disney vault. Holy crap, Phil.
What's going on, everyone? We are celebrating JLO's crappy movies by taking a look back at the movies of JLO's crappy movies. So, Joe, we take a look at this week.
What's up, Phil? This week we're talking about the 2005 movie Chicken Little, which is a Disney Animation Studios movie about Chicken Little, the famous. Is it a parable or a fable or what is Chicken Little, right?
I don't know, actually. I want to say parable, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I mean this is bare bones research that I should have done right before we started recording, but I didn't. But even so, like even to the point where like we were watching the movie and my kids and I were watching it. My wife's in the other room doing a puzzle while she's watching, and we're watching it, and I'm like, "Huh, what is the parable of Chicken Little? Like, what's the lesson learned?" And I asked my wife. I said, "Hey, what is it?" And she's like, "It's Don't Cry Wolf." And I was like, "No, we got one of those. We don't need a second one about it with a chicken." But apparently, the real lesson is to think before you speak, which is kind of like heavy for kids. Like, "Hey, stupid, shut up and you know think about your words before you actually say them." Which I mean, there's value in, but like, I mean, for those who don't know, Chicken Little's this whole thing where like he says the sky is falling, and it's not falling. It's like in this movie, he screams that the sky is falling, and it turns out to be an acorn, except that it wasn't. It was really something, but people thought it was an acorn, and they shamed him. And I'm putting the cart before the horse because before I just dive right in like that, I want to ask you a question that I want you to think about the entire time, and I want the people watching to think about this too. Who's the worst cinematic father of all time? Don't answer. Don't scream out
Okay.
Darth Vader because it's not him. But think about who's the worst cinematic father of all time, and we'll talk about it later because no matter who you come up with, the answer to the riddle is Chicken Little's father. He's the worst in this movie because the film opens with Chicken Little scream. He rings the bell. The sky is falling. The world. Something terrible is happening. Something fell out of the sky and hit me. And people freak out and they lose their minds. And someone sees an acorn on the ground next to him and said, "Oh, it must have been this acorn." And then everyone's mad at him for like disrupting everything. And it's embarrassing to the point where like they then flash forward a year later and people are still talking about it. Like, "Hey, there's
A
Chicken Little."
year?
Yeah, a year later, dude. It's a year later, and they're like, "Hey, there's Chicken Little, that weirdo that freaked out that one time, that one time." And not only do people remember it, but the dad, as they're driving around town, points out, "Oh, hey, that movie that they made about you's coming out." And there's a big billboard that says, "Chicken freaks out, says sky is falling." And apparently they like wrote a book and like, they made this movie about him being, freaking out over nothing. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's evidence number exhibit A for worst father of the year. This guy, to let that happen is terrible. Um, it's very upsetting. It's a year later, and Chicken Little is this kind of awkward young student. He seems like elementary school age, and he frequently confronts things where he loses his pants on the way to school and has to sneak into school and then make pants out of like his homework. But like that's a day. That's a day for him. And like I'm sure he could tell a story about how he lost his pants, but people would be like, "You're overreacting again." Like nothing happened. So he lives a normal life and he's got this normal group of friends. They're actually, I mean, you look at these weirdos and it is like the ugly duckling, I think these are actual character names. The ugly duckling, the runt of the litter, and the fish out of water. But he's friends with the freaks and geeks. They're definitely the outcasts of the group. And even as my kids and I were watching it, I was like, these guys, this group, it's a bunch of duds. Even like the character design, I was like, this isn't working at all. But they won me over so hard. Each of them too. Like I was like, there's no way in the world I'm gonna like this giant weird pig. But he does the funniest stuff on this spaceship later on. I'm I'm, I'm spoiling too much. But the
You
only
shouldn't.
one, yeah. Even the ugly duckling at the end of the movie, she's got this great comedic moment, and that's the thing. You sort of like make these assumptions about these characters, but they turn out to be a wonderful group of characters. But the one of them that shined immediately was the fish out of water. It's just this fish who can't talk because he's got a deep sea diver's mask on, but he's so chill and just sort of like go with the flow and cool. And my kids and I gravitated to him very quickly. We were like, "Oh, this guy's the man." Um, and I should say that like I have not seen this movie since it came out in theaters 20 years ago. And when I saw it then, I was like, "Oh, that was cute," but I'll never watch this again. So when I was to return to it this week, I those were my thoughts. Like, "Oh, this is kind of a nothing movie that honestly no one talks about." Like this is not like, you know, if you
Yeah.
go into Disney Animation Studios offices, this is probably not one of the posters they have front and center. But we watched it and we're totally charmed by it. What happens is it is revealed that there are things falling out of the sky and that there are space aliens, and things escalate. The aliens attack because they lose one of their own, and Chicken Little has to figure out how to get this little baby alien back to his parents without the other aliens destroying everybody. And the first thing he does is start ringing that bell again. The sky is falling. He's screaming, and everyone comes over, and the dad's like, "Not again, not again." All right, so the dad is the worst. He he doesn't know how to communicate with his son, and Chicken Little goes to great efforts to please him. Like his dad was a great baseball star, so Chicken Little joins the baseball team, and he ends up doing pretty well. He helps win the big game. Does it please his father? His father shows no signs that it does. And he's, like, begging his father to make the smallest efforts, and he won't. My wife was quick to defend him. She's like, "He's a single father. He's doing the best he can." And I think that's something I say to my kids whenever they're, like, complaining about something. I was like, "Everybody's doing their best." Like, you have to give people a chance. But I was not gonna give this father a chance because he was being a real crap dad. And but he lost his wife. They shouldn't. He has pictures of his wife up, and he's just, like, looking at the pictures, and he's like, "Oh, the Bernadette," or whatever, "you would know how to handle this." And he doesn't know how to handle his kid who he doesn't relate to, which is a common thing and something to easily sympathize with. But he's not really trying, and it was driving me crazy. Now, I will say, there's one thing the dad does great. The dad, Chicken Little voiced by Zach Braff, dad voiced by Gary Marshall.
Mm.
Super weird. But so there's one thing the dad does right. His eyebrows, perfection. These huge, bushy, beautiful. I was like, this guy, he's got all this is working, but almost nothing else is. But the whole time, anytime I got mad at him, I was like, well, at least his
At
eyebrows
least
are
the
working out
eyebrows.
okay. He's got his eyebrows down. Um, Eventually, I mean, obvious spoilers. Eventually, he does come around. He learns that the lesson for him is that he needs to trust his son, um, and believe in him, and not just believe him like that he might be making up these crazy stories, but like just hear him out, listen to him. That's all his son really wants. And I was really mad at the dad, but like they would show scenes like because he would say to the people in town, he's like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't tell you guys how embarrassed I am." And it's like, you're a jerk. These people don't care about you. They don't care about your son. They're being jerks to you. And then they would cut to him in his house like 2 days later, just taking phone calls, like, not in his business, but in his home. People are calling to complain about his son ringing a bell, and he's taking these calls, and the people are just complaining, and my kids and I looked at each other like, "Well, maybe maybe he's on something here," like, because if I was being tortured by that, I would be like, "Hey," so I'd say to my kids, I'd be like, "Hey, don't ring any bells. Don't do anything. I don't wanna get any phone calls." Uh, so I started sympathizing with him a little, but I was relieved that he does make a big turnaround later on. So everything works out. It's great. Uh, there's some easily recognizable voice talent. I mentioned Zach Braff and Gary Marshall, but there's also like Steve Zahn who plays the pig, and Joan Cusack who plays. Her name is Abby Mallard, and it's great. I kind of forget how much I miss Joan Cusack. She kind of doesn't act anymore, so it was nice to see her. But you also get like Patrick Warburton and Patrick Stewart and Amy Sedaris, and I was floored. The mayor, Mayor Turkey Lurkey, is played by Don Knotts, and you recognize his
Wow.
voice right away. I was like, "Yes, Don Knotts, let's do it." Great cast, very much a underappreciated movie. Like, people don't talk about this movie. I don't. It must have made money at the time. I will look that up, but let's see real quick. So yeah, in 2005, Chicken Little grossed 314 million worldwide, 135 domestically against a $150 million budget. I guess with advertising, that's a modest profit, but I had to, I don't know, maybe it wasn't a runaway hit they were expecting, but still, it did money. It should have done better. But I feel like this is a movie that has since, in the 20 years since, gone largely ignored. Maybe because it doesn't fit so well into a genre. It's kind of like a modern tale with talking animals that has a space theme, and it's also like real 2005 animation, very uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe it just couldn't find its longevity with all that nonsense going on, but I was relieved to see that it is totally watchable, totally cute, totally fun. Not epic in any way. I mean, like, this is a movie that's going up against the early years of Pixar, like, when they were just getting their legs and really, like, doing, like, classics. So, it's understandable that this might have been one of those movies that was left behind, but it was worth a watch 20 years later. I was surprised. Have you ever seen
Okay.
Chicken Little, Phil?
I have not seen Chicken Little. Um, honestly, I did not know that it was a Disney production. Like, gun to my head, I would have guessed, like, DreamWorks.
It has a real DreamWorks stink to it, right?
But
Yeah,
I guess it makes a
it's
little
got
bit of
DreamWorks
sense
all over it.
in, like, like, how they used to take the, like, fairy tales and, like, turn them into, like, animated features. The Chicken Little, like, it feels kinda similar to that, but I don't did Disney do any more of those, like, kind of fables into, like, animated features?
Not that I can remember. It makes me think, "Oh, when did Chicken Little hit public domain?" Because if it was 2004, it totally makes sense. Like, the year before, everyone can make a Chicken Little movie. Let me look it up real quick.
I feel like Chicken Little has probably been public domain for a while, right?
It makes sense that it would be. Uh, Chicken Little is a European folktale, an early version of which was recorded by just Matthias Thiel in 1823, but it doesn't
They
say
probably didn't
anything
have
about.
copyright laws back then, so it's probably been public
Yeah,
domain for a long time.
yeah, that makes sense.
So, if I remember correctly, this is like a 3D movie, correct?
It is, that was one of their big things. And you know what? Normally, when a movie is advertised as 3D, it's real in your face. Like, it's a lot of like, "I'm gonna get you." Like, a lot of stuff like that. But I don't remember, even as we were watching this, it didn't feel obvious like that. It was a lot of big spaceships and a lot of big, like, trucks driving around and stuff, but, like, it was not like it was not too obvious, or like, I'm gonna shoot you with a dart," and it just goes, "Phew," was like that.
Yeah. Um, it's weird how 3D isn't a thing anymore in theaters.
Yeah. Every now and then, they'll decide to, like, be like, "Let's make this one 3D," but it's not the same spectacle as it used to be, but like anything, it'll come back. You know, it was huge in the '70s, then it was dead for 10 years, then it came back for 10 years or for 5 years, and then in the 2000s it was huge again, and then, it'll come back again. It just needs
I
to
mean, it sounds like we're due for a 3D revolution again.
turn 3D. Then you're not doing it right. And now I'm just like, "I just wanna see Avatar. Can I just please sit down and watch Avatar, please? Can I
I
not
don't wanna
have
have
to
to put
pay an
glasses
extra?"
over my glasses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm willing to wait until the technology can have prescriptions before, I venture back into it. Because you know what? Even 3D at its best, never great, never mind-blowing, you know?
Yeah. I was just thinking, because it is a Disney production, um, and because I think you mentioned that, you know, it should have done better, maybe they did make a sequel, but, Disney was always into the direct to DVD sequels. So is
You're
there a Chicken
right.
Little 2 direct to DVD?
My god, you could be exactly right, and they did so poorly that they went right to the vault, right right to the Disney vault. Holy crap, Phil,
Is there?
a direct sequel to 2005 Disney film Chicken Little titled Chicken Little 2: The Ugly
Oh.
Duckling Story was planned but canceled in
Oh,
2006. The plot involved a love triangle between Chicken Little, Abby Mallard, and a new character with themes of fame and deception. Instead, the game Chicken Little Ace in Action served as the unofficial follow-up. Cool. Why was it canceled? After John Lasseter became CEO of Disney in 2006, he halted all development of sequels at Disney Toon Studios, including Chicken Little 2 and Meet the Robinsons too. Meet the Robinsons was such a fun movie. That's kind of crazy. John Lasseter was the Pixar guy, right?
yeah.
And Pixar was bought by Disney
I don't know.
and he's all like, anything that's not a Pixar or a princess has got to go. I think
I don't wanna have to
that's the
compete
quote.
with Chicken Little
Yeah. Yeah.
2.
I have I also have an Ugly Duckling movie in the works, and I do not want the drama. Oh, I'm surprised that that's the case, that it was shut down because of a new studio head that just didn't like the property. I mean, Lord knows why he shut it down, but says he shut down everything. Oh, that's a shame. What could have been, right? It could have been the next, I don't know, the next dumb movie that no one
Yeah.
watches.
I don't I honestly don't remember what, Disney was putting out at that point in terms of animated movies, so I don't know what sequels we were missing.
I think yeah, that's true. They were in a dry spot with the princesses too, though, right? At this point, I think, because they have certainly become their own thing since then, and like have
Yeah.
gone on to like not just princesses, but like all the fun stuff. So we got like, yeah, it was like Brother Bear, Teacher's Pet, Home on the Range. They were not having a good early aughts for sure. Chicken Little, Meet the Robinses. All right. Wow. They did Enchanted, which had stuff. They did Bolt. Bolt's great. That's a fun one. Princess and the Frog, Tangled. Then they were like, you make princess movies. Yeah. Big Hero 6. Yeah. But I don't know. The ones they started to go with were certainly princess movies and ones that skewed a little higher. Like Big Hero 6 is more grown up than Chicken Little
Mhm.
skews way young.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just like, I don't want any unsophisticated nonsense in my studio. That's a quote from me about what he might have said.
Or maybe he just didn't want to compete with Chicken Little 2.
That could be the case, yeah. So, have you thought of any terrible fathers in cinematic history, and how do they measure up against this son of a gun in Chicken Little?
Well, here's the thing. I did think of one particular like, one dad came to mind. I can't tell you it because you haven't seen it, and it would spoil things for you.
I haven't seen it.
You have not, and I know for a fact you have not seen this yet. It's a TV show, and it's in a season that you haven't watched yet.
Is this like The Wire?
It is The Wire.
It's The
Yes.
Wire? There's a terrible
Yeah.
dad in the okay, a terrible dad in The Wire should not have to compete with a terrible dad in a children's movie.
Well, it's the only one that came to mind, so
Alright, I did put you on the spot, so we're gonna ask the internet. Worst fathers in film history. We'll see what how who they call up. All right, 20 terrible movie dads. The guy from um what's it called? There Will Be Blood, of course. Terrible father. All right, let's see here. Darth Vader, Jack Torrance from The Shining, of course. All right, the guy from Stepfather. It's all standard stuff. Doctor Evil, that's fun.
Is he bad though? I mean, I guess he's
He,
technically
he's
bad.
doing he's doing his best, right? He's bad for the first half. For the first half of the first movie. Norman Osborn, yeah, the worst. These are all adult movies. This doesn't count. Lucius Malfoy from the Potter movies, pretty bad. Anyway, whenever I see a bad father, oh Thanos, that's a good one.
I
Whenever I see a
guess, yeah. He doesn't really have any like all his children are adopted. They're not his biological
That's true.
children.
That's true. You know what? He's committed to the cause. He's like, if they were blood, it would make a difference. No, that's terrible. He's committed to his cause. And he assumes that they are too. Anyway, I think it's odd for me to see a terrible father in a animated movie that is not over the top, like a wicked stepmother kind of terrible parent, like wicked for plot reasons, but just like a father who's just not getting it done, like not making bad choices and recognizing that they're bad choices and not correcting them. But it's actually, if that was in an adult movie, that's great. That's a great character because he's struggling with his own failures as a father, his own failures as a person. So he actually ends up being like a super interesting character with great eyebrows. It's as opposed to being a terrible character with great eyebrows. But in a kids movie, it really hit me in a bad way. And it made me think about good fathers that I've seen in movies. I We talked about robots over this last summer when we were going through this because that also came out in 2005. And Stanley Tucci plays the dad in the movie Robots, and he's that kind of dad that'll do anything for his kid, like encourage him to do anything. He will literally take parts off his body to give to his kid if that kid needs those parts, because he's a robot, and that's how robots do things for each other. But he's that kind of dad, and that's the kind of dad you want to see. So I think when I saw this dad here, I was like, this, like, it really ticked me off. And the whole time I'm watching it with my kids, I'm like, I'm not as bad as that guy. That's for sure. There's that. Anyway, that's that.
All right. So, do you own this on DVD or Blu-ray?
No, like even the time, like when this came out, I was still too old for it. I think my now wife, then girlfriend, and I went to go see it in 2005 because we went to see everything. We were young, and we just love going to movies. So we would just see everything. But it skewed too young, and it wasn't the sort of thing I was gonna watch on a regular basis. But I pay for Disney Plus every month,
Oh,
and this is hiding in the catacombs of the Disney Plus archive.
nice. Um, so is there a movie that you would recommend if we're looking for something with similar vibes to Chicken Little?
I forgot to think of one. Help me figure something out because it's an underdog story, kind of a reject who kind of gets thrown into this world of like a intergalactic takeover. And it's also like for young people and silly
Yeah.
and goofy. That's a hard one. I'm thinking about like The Last Starfighter, but the second half of The Last Starfighter is really bleak. And when the guy that comes to recruit him sort of like reveals his alien form, it's really upsetting. like like I still have nightmares about that. So maybe not The Last Starfighter. Um, is there anything that you can think of that's the same vibe?
I don't know. I mean, I think about all of the animated movies that I didn't see,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they're similar vibes because I haven't seen Chicken Little and I haven't seen any of those other movies as well.
All right, so there is one that comes to mind. I just looked up like what was out at that time, and none of that worked. But it did make me think about a space movie that ties together space and sort of young humor, but like sweetness and kindness. There's a movie called Home, starring Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory, and Steve Martin plays the an alien in that movie, and Rihanna. How fun is that? Um, but that movie came out and it sort of has the same vibes. Very sweet, very genuine, silly at times, funny in that kind of way, but also a great blend of space, aliens, sci-fi, and still being young, safe family entertainment. Um, and at the same time, a very good movie, not great. Just like Chicken Little. Perfectly fine, not great.
Huh. Alright, nice.
Yeah.
Alright, Joe, do you have any closing thoughts on Chicken Little?
Pleasant surprise to revisit. Not an all-timer for sure. Not a not a true movie to be rewatched over and over again, but totally serviceable. Like, the whole family enjoyed it. We laughed and had a good time. We'll probably not watch it again, but we watched it, I think, last Sunday. For a Sunday afternoon, it hit the spot.
Totally fine for a Sunday afternoon. Put that on the DVD cover art.
Right there. Put it over everything else because yeah, why not?
Alright, everyone, have you seen Chicken Little? What'd you think? Let us know in the comments below. Can you name a worse cinematic father? Drop us a comment, let us know. Do you know who I'm talking about in The Wire? Don't put it in the comments because Joe hasn't watched that season yet. But if you like this, give us a like. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, become a subscriber, and we'll catch you all on the next one.